um, we have a few miscellaneous items to discuss. We're almost at the end of this video series about Chapter 3. We're going to talk about configuring ports, sharing virtual machines, VMware Player, some other things like that. Um, you can there are some fun things you can do. For example, USB controllers. The VMware Workstation has a a virtualized USB controller of its own that you can use to attach USB devices. Say, for example, um, our portable USB DVD drive, for example, the thing I was talking about in a previous video. You plug this in, VMware will notice, hey, there's a new USB device that's been plugged into the host machine. What do you want to do with it? The best solution, honestly, is to leave VMware in just ask mode, because you don't know necessarily where you want that thing to go. And particularly if you needed something on the host machine in a hurry, you really don't want to fight Workstation to give it back. You essentially, you plug it into the host machine. Then you tell VMware, yes, you can take it. There will be in the machine menu, there will be a removable devices option, and you go over, and it will actually show you a list of the USB devices which are currently plugged in. And you can tell it, I want to use this USB data stick, or this webcam, or the optical drive. Connect it to the guest OS, which will they'll have a parenthetical that says essentially disconnect from the host, and it will move it from now at the hardware level. And even at the OS level, low OS level, the OS will continue to see that USB device, but it will pass control of it through to the guest OS. Now, if you want to add these devices manually, turn off automatic detection. If otherwise, it will automatically detect, and hopefully, it will just ask you. You can also do fun things like tell it to print. This is also something you'll need administrative privileges for. This is something we did in the Linux class, if you remember trying to get a physical printer working. The fun thing is with that is when you configure it this option, it goes out to the host OS, it finds everything. So say, for example, you've got a Windows 10 system with a PDF printer and an XPS printer and 2 or 3 network attached printers on your physical network. You turn on virtualized printing, and then you go into the settings of the specific VM, you turn that on as well, and bam, all of those VMs come up. Sorry, not all of those VMs, all of those print devices come up, whether the guest OS can use them or not. Say, for example, if you're trying to pass through from a virtualized Win10 to a physical Win10, the XPS printer works just fine. But if you're using a physical Win10 device as your host and Linux as your guest, those XPS printers aren't going to do you much good, and you can basically just nuke them. You can also access multiple VMs from multiple workstation hosts by sharing. Either you share the VM from the parent computer, or you put the VMs on a shared network drive. Now, if you do this from a shared network drive, make sure you've got the bandwidth for it, because otherwise all those read-write operations, remember, it's a virtual machine, so even the memory is a file. And if it's having to read and write memory all the time, that's going to be awfully slow. You can get a better performance in management some of the time if the network is fast enough. If you don't have to share it, don't worry about sharing. It would almost be better to carry it around with you. Now, one of the other fun things you can do is convert a physical machine to a VM. You could literally virtualize a platform. Say, for example, you've got a computer that you've got just so, and you want to be able to use it wherever you go, even on another platform. You virtualize it. You create it as a VMware Workstation VM or as an OVF. You move it along. You can even open it in VMware Player. Now, VMware Player, there are some steps in the book to move an existing 2016 server VM. Player essentially will give you the ability to use a VM without making any major changes to it. You lose some level of control. On the other hand, you don't have the overhead of running, or the risk really of running a full-on Workstation 12 Pro. Thank you for watching, and we'll talk about the chapter summary, and then we'll be done with chapter 3. Thank you again.